Hello, everyone. As you know, I'm Siddharth, the co-founder at Clear Meat, and this is the first part of the session that we are having today in the morning. I'm greatly thankful to all of the audience who have joined us today from different diasporas of the country and the globe, and who wish to understand alternative protein. Today with us is one of the hardcore researchers or hardcore salesperson, I should say, from Nestle, Nestle's R&D department of India. That is Mr. Jagdeep, who is Nestle's R&D head. I welcome you, sir, to the second SMS, that is Sustainable Meat Solutions, and you are already aware what we have been doing in the last couple of years with respect to alternative protein. Before I deep dive down to what you do and how Nestle is going in this whole strategy, let me give a brief to the audience that about Nestle specifically. I don't know if everyone knows across the globe that Nestle has played a very vital role since its journey when it started working on milk products. If I'm correct, sir, do correct me. Back in 1800s, Nestle made dairy products available to the audience from Switzerland to other parts of the globe, penetrating US, Europe, and likewise other countries. Then World War II played a very vital role in the journey and shifting the gear from only dairy to different products. Maggie was launched during World War II, and since then Nestle has added many products to its kitty, and it's flourished not only from food but also to pharmaceutical, and has started focusing on more consumer centric, more nutritious foods. So with this, I would like first you to introduce yourself, and then we will deep dive down to more questions into Nestle's thought on alternative protein.
Thanks a lot, Siddharth, and thank you so much for having me here today. Absolute pleasure and a warm welcome to all the audience who are joining us in the session. My name is Jagdeep. I head the R&D Center for Nestle in India. This is, an R&D center which is part of 25 global centers which focus on the different parts in terms of driving innovation in food. Um, Nestle, as you know, is one of the largest food and beverage company. Siddharth mentioned it has got a tradition of almost 160 odd years in its origin. And I think just to build on what you mentioned, Siddharth, this company also started as a startup. The founder, Henri Nestle, worked on a problem which was at that particular point, which was linked to infant nutrition. And he was a pharmacist. And from there, he triggered and got the first baby formula out. And I think this was where the genesis of the company is around. And I've been really privileged to be associated with the organization around 27 years with the roles in India, outside India, in different product categories. And for last 3 years, I had this very exciting role to build the future of the food products and the setups that we can look at to grow in our portfolio in Nestle.
I would put it this way that you have given half of your life to Nestle, and Nestle, coming from a startup background, will always understand how, and that to a pharmaceutical background, will always understand how what are the pain points of this such similar industries, and where we from an alternative protein industry are stuck or are figuring out ways to make sense of the whole model. Keeping this in mind, sir, I would specifically want to ask, with respect to Nestle, what are the products, activities, and innovations that Nestle is looking into or has started working when it comes to alternative protein?
So, sure, we are not only the large food and beverage company, but we also pride ourselves to be the largest nutrition, health, and wellness company and food plays an important role in this particular ambition. The purpose of Nestle is enhancing the quality of life for our consumers, for the ecosystems, for the planet in general, and alternate proteins there play a very important role for us. We were amongst the first ones to start the journey on plant proteins, not necessarily only looking at the space of plant-based meat analogs, but to go a bit wider to see what roles can proteins play in our diet. Um, and a big focus over the last few years has been to really accelerate two aspects. One is the speed to market for these products, but also how can we bring in differentiated product propositions which are high on nutrition quotient, but also on taste around. Um, More than 100 product launches, have driven or gone through our global portfolio. If I were to talk about last probably 18 months or so, and though there has been all these ups and downs on what plant-based analogs bring in, for us, we have kept our focus, and I mean this is now contributing to growth. The way we see alternate proteins is that from a human dietary lens, from a food point of view, these will form a very important pillar, not only to provide the required diversity into the diets, but also to address some of the serious gaps in terms of the nutrition requirements of the world as the population still continues to grow, but also how do we make more wholesome food accessible. So the way we look at alternate proteins is one from a nutrition lens, which parts of the diet can they complement? What is it that we can bring to the fore? The second important lens is on affordability. You can have quite a few solutions, but I think if you really want to make a product which is in the mass, we need to be strong on the nutritional side, but also make sure that it is cost competitive. And thirdly, as a solution is tasty. It is something that I mean the consumers want, and that is where the demarcation of staying in the domain of food, making a kind of a wholesome, nutritious food becomes an important part that we are trying to address through this portfolio.
Glad to see that. It gives a better clarity. Says as the brand Nestle is more focused towards food, and I feel that yes, Nestle with respect to thinking on the lines of nutrition is making sense to me. In the last couple of years, how we have been working with ClearMe. But speaking of nutrition and consumer demand, specifically, I would need to understand your views and Nestle's views. Do you feel that in the last couple of years, post the pandemic session, has the consumer became more aware of what he's eating? Has there been a shift in the acceptance criteria when it comes specifically to nutrition or the awareness of the products, packaging, the traceability, and likewise? And is Nestle, as you said, in the last couple of months, 18 months, 20 months, you have been adding more portfolio to your kitty? Was this one of the reasons that you shifted to more product types? And is it, to be very specific, is it all consumer driven that makes you think on those lines?
No, I mean, for sure. As an organization, you need to be consumer driven to make sure that what is being offered is linked to what the consumers' requirements are, and the products and the product categories continue to evolve over a period of time. Um, you rightly mentioned the pandemic has been, one of the key disruptors, I would say, around. I mean, it did leave populations in a lot of turmoil, but and what also comes out is that there are certain shifts in the consumer behavior which get accelerated whenever something like this happens. I mean, in the beginning, you also mentioned World War, how it disrupted certain, I mean, the parts around. So in human history, there have been a few events there, and clearly the pandemic, a few years back, has had that part in. Consumers are definitely more aware of what they are consuming post the pandemic, because you start to also realize that life is fragile. You need to take care, and what you eat, how you eat. The patterns have changed. A lot of more in-home consumption was the initial part around, and I think this is where organizations like ourselves, had the part to deliver. But the shifts did not only stop or when happen here, it was also in unlocking new channels. I believe a lot of people who had never ordered food online started to also explore different platforms on what could come in, what is it that moves in there. But then post the pandemic, what it has also led to is a very quick shift into out of home. You still want to, again, enjoy life. You want to go out. You want to have the fun moments. You want to socialize, and this is the normal human tendency to work around onto that part. So our products have kept up pace in terms of really driving the part on the differentiation that we can bring into these areas, both offering more health forward options, that are being picked up, but also, products which are based on the fundamental science that has been then converted into a proposition that still continues to be tasty and nutritious, with new discoveries, new innovations that can be brought to the market. I think one thing which we need to also understand, Siddharth, is as consumers, um, with food, we are still looking for a lot of instant gratification around. When you see something in front of you, when when put that in, you feel like you would want to get in there, and then you see constant shifts in what the consumers are asking for, what the consumers are looking for, and you see different categories are evolving into the part to remain relevant, and it is a similar part for us this side as well. We have also realized that because of all these shifts, there is a need to be much more nimble and much more faster. So one of the areas that we really focus on now is the speed to market. So we have, for example, I mean, if I were to talk about our innovation times, the time we take for a project to be delivered, there has been a reduction by around 60% from the time that we used to take. What has also happened with during this course of pandemic is a completely unrelated shift with the digital savviness with the part there. So you use a lot of AI now to also develop new products, new parts in, which also enables the developers to be much more faster in what they are able to bring in. And I think the second part is to win in the market. You need to be differentiated. Your proposition needs to stand out. So what is it standing out on? Is it nutrition? Is it taste? Is it price? What is it that you're bringing in? Or, ideally, a combination of all three. And then those parts are now becoming incredibly important for consumers.
So, if I summarize it, the consumer is becoming more conscious, and
Yeah.
but at the same time, the consumer wants to try out new things, and at the same time, consumer wants it to be affordable and achievable on various, or it should be quick to eat, quick to make, and on those lines.
Convenience has moved in. Yes, moved up a notch.
I will not. I know the time is limited, but I will not answer to that. Yes, there is a debate, long debate going on with respect to processed food, ultra processed food. That is something we are also observing on their various platforms. I will not go into that, but to give an audience that yes, to understand the consumer behavior, there has been a shift due to the current socio-economic changes that are happening, and companies like you and companies like us, or companies are, I would believe that they are slowly, steadily working towards creating these products, as you rightly mentioned, consumer-centric products, keeping nutrition and labeling at the same time at par with the QC or the quality of the product. So to be very I had a few more questions before we close this session. It is specific to the industry that we are now doing. So I want to understand, and I hope the audience would also be very interested in understanding. I'm having popping many questions on my chat box also. Do you, what are your or Nestlé's, or I should say both of yours, independent opinions on the lines of be it cultivated meat or lab grown or lab made milk? This is something which is very hot currently in alternative protein industry.
Right. So I think just to start off, Siddharth here, for me, the discussion is not either or sort of a thing, right? I mean, the discussion here is about what do we have today and what else can we look at in terms of the possibilities to feed the population that we will have, and the requirements from the consumer, the nutrition requirements that we will move in. So the way we look at cultured meat, precision fermentation into a way is that it is an important unlock for the future. It is a technology that is developing. Is it of interest? Yes, it is of interest. Is it mature enough today? No, it is not. I mean, there is a long way for this to go. So we do work, in this space with quite a few of the startups around, both in area of precision fermentation, but also in terms of the cell cultured meat around as well, in terms of what is it that it can bring in, not only from a meat perspective, meat or fish alternatives, but also into areas like dairy, and what else it can bring in into the diet. And there are these ongoing initiatives to keep to keep abreast of where an opportunity would lie. How can we take this forward? There have been quite a few shop tests that we have also done in some of these parts, in to also get the direct consumer feedback on what it is there. But it is still very nascent. We are very excited with some of the work which is happening with organizations like yourselves as well. A lot of youngsters, a lot of startups coming into the space. So I'm sure it will grow. It is something that will need to put things in, but we have to ensure that we keep the top two, three areas into consideration. One is, what does it bring to the table? I mean, whether it is nutrition, is it affordable? I mean, something which can scale up. Because if it is not there, then it stays as a niche product, which is not necessarily becoming mainstream. And thirdly, it is all about the parts on how do we build credibility into this through the safety aspects, through what it offers to our consumers around. Because what we have seen is also that if we are not really careful here, it puts a lot more question marks into the minds of consumers. And food is something which no one, including you and me, would want to risk on. So I think the future is bright. It's important that it is, we take calibrated steps to make sure that we are taking it forward with a very strong focus, but also concerted efforts to mainstream the products which come in from cultured meat.
I'm really glad, sir, to hear this because it gives confidence or boosts confidence in entrepreneurs like us who are trying to bring in new innovations. And when we see established players like Nestle thinking on the similar lines and doing internal validations or consumer perception behavior analysis, it gives a better outreach to us that yes, everything is going in the right track. It will take some time. As I remember, we had few discussions earlier also. You mentioned, I will take your words. You mentioned what is the lever. So yes, there are few things that we have to work on collectively, and that can only be achieved the more we talk about it, the more we talk or make the consumer aware about it. And this is what the current session is focused on, and this is what today's event is focused on, making the audience and the consumers aware of what we are doing, what alternative protein is focused on, why it is required. And with this, I know, sir, we have very limited time. Thank you for being here today and sharing your insights. And I hope the audience liked the panel discussion that we had today. And we are receiving a lot of queries, but I will not ask those questions today. I will put these questions for later on to respond. But again, thanking you, sir, and thanks to Nestle for helping us organize everything. And once again, thank you, sir, for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. An honor to be here, and wish you, great sessions ahead. Any questions? We'll be happy to take them in. When once the audience have provided that to you, so happy to answer those. But good luck. And we are keenly watching you, and some of the others who are probably in the quorum there. Very excited to see how we can bring in the fundamentals of science. How can we bring it into the light, of the day, and try to see how can we provide new innovation unlocks with this platform. So all the best. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.